I was just at work one day and my mate phoned us up and he was like, "Oh, do you want a dog?" And I was like,
I've got a couple already.
Yeah, go on then. And then he said, "Really?" And I was like, "Send us some pictures." And he said, obviously she was a puppy, 4-month-old Cocker Spaniel. So he sent all these cute pictures. I was like, right, brilliant. So I sent them to Vicky. I was like, "Hello, ma'am." She just messaged back, she said, "What have you done?"
So hello. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast Chatzzz. And we've got a very, very special guest today. We've got Dave from Top Dog in Carlisle. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello there, Adam.
So I think, did I message you last week? Was it? To come on the podcast?
I think it was the week before, yeah.
A couple of weeks ago. And we rescheduled from Wednesday because I was running late. And then here we are at the lovely doggy daycare centre. Is it the only 5-star certified one in Carlisle or Cumbria?
Yeah. So basically in Carlisle, there's kennels that offer daycare as a separate service, but we're actually the only dedicated daycare. So there's no other facility like ours. The kennels, the dogs can kind of stay in kennels and then they might mix for a little bit. With ours, we have all dogs mixing all of the time. So we do assessments to make sure they all kind of get on.
Oh, cool. Nice. So what I'll get you to do is introduce yourself to the viewers and the listeners.
Yep.
If you're meeting someone for the first time, so how would you do that if you're meeting someone for the first time?
So hi everyone, my name's Dave. I'm a co-owner of Top Dog Doggy Daycare with my wife Vicky. We run this facility and we've got a wonderful team of staff and we basically look after people's dogs while they're at work. Some people bring their dogs just to get used to mixing with other dogs. Some people bring them for exercise. So we just we offer a kind of service for different people for different reasons, but for a lot of people, it's a real lifeline.
Yeah. So are these all the dogs on here?
Yeah. So what we did, we invited the customers to bring in photos of their dogs. So this is our family wall. And that's one of the kind of things where it's kind of a unique environment because yes, they're customers, but you get to know the dogs. We probably spend more time with some of the dogs than the owners do. You know, if they're here for 8 hours in the day, then they go home, they're only there for 4 hours. So the dogs kind of take us in as part of their family. So it's really rewarding because every day you've got a lot of your family just come in to kind of see you and you have different relationship with all of them as well. So,
yeah, like loads of different kids. Which one's that one?
There's what, sorry?
Which one's this one?
This one is Ruby.
Oh, Ruby, yeah, I know Ruby, yeah. Kyle and Becca.
No, different one.
Oh, different one? What?
Yeah.
I know, and that one?
That one you have got Bryn.
Bryn, all right, okay. Sorry, I know a dog called Ruby. Kyle and Becca have got one exactly like that as well.
No, it must be different ones.
Yeah, different ones. That's crazy. I know one of my friends, Kieran and Alex, they brought Sonny here, I think, for a bit.
Yes, yeah. Sonny came for a little while.
Yeah, nice. Oh, that's cool. It's just like, when you walk in, it's just like, I don't know, it's different, but it's cool, isn't it?
And obviously we started in another building that wasn't perfect, but we kind of made it work. And then once the opportunity for this building, it's a much better format. We had our own yard. It was a bit of a no-brainer for us. So we went and seen the landlord, snapped it up straight away. Like I say, it just flows really well. We've got this nice space where it's bright, colourful, people can come in. Like you see everybody's dogs as well. And I think it creates that nice feel of family. And that's kind of what we wanted to achieve with it.
Yeah, cool. So then 3 facts then about yourself.
Yeah.
So have you got them written down or are you going to do them from your head?
We'll see if I can remember them all. So yeah, the first one, I suppose, on topic is dogs. Me and Vicky, when we first met, we'd moved in. I think we'd been in our house 2 months and we decided to get a dog. All of our dogs. So we've currently got 4. This is our dogs on here. So We've got Charlie. That was the first dog that we got together. That was a bit of a roller coaster, a big learning curve. Obviously, we'd only just moved in together, so we were still learning about each other. But then with Charlie, he was a big boisterous lad as well. And one of the things with the dogs that we've never really said, right, let's go out and get a Labrador from this place. All the dogs kind of found us. So with Charlie, like you say, we've both always grew up with dogs and we've always loved dogs. And it was always something we would consider. And then Vicky's sister, Sarah, had messaged saying, oh, somebody at work, they're looking to rehome a lab. They've took it on. Husband's away in the Navy and they're struggling to look after it. She's at home with the kids and he's a big boisterous lad. So we went and had a look at him. We took him straight away. And that was the start of our dog journey together. So we had Charlie. He lived to the ripe old age of 13 and a half. And he was a great dog.
legend.
He destroyed a lot. One of Vicky's favourite stories to tell is that she got a new kitchen because of him, because he chewed all the cupboard doors.
Yeah, my mum and dad had to get a new kitchen because of our family dog as well. It's a nightmare.
But you still get dogs though. You've never learned, do you?
You still love them, don't you?
And the other 4 that we've currently still got. So in order, we got Jack. Again,
Oh, that's a cool picture. Isn't it?
Madison, my daughter, took that picture. She loves it. She's always trying to get like muggies of all the dogs.
Doing them dirty.
Yeah. And so basically what had happened, so when my dad had died, we had a collection and he preferred animals to people. So we got the money at the end of the funeral and took it up to the animal refuge at Wetherall. And at that point, we were like, well, before we hand the money in, why don't we just have a quick look around?
Yeah.
So we had a look around and we'd seen a couple of dogs we kind of liked. And then we got round to where Jack was, and he was only 1 at the time, a little puppy, and Madison, my daughter, was only 2. So as we kind of got up to the gate, he's jumping up, and obviously 1-year-old Jack Russell pup, and he was quite cute. So as soon as he was jumping up at Madison and she was stroking him, we're like, right, okay, let's go and see the people. And so basically, short story was we ended up with Jack. So we had Charlie and Jack, and then Sky, she's our 4-year-old Cocker Spaniel. And basically how that one happened was I was just at work one day and my mate phoned us up and he was like, oh, do you want a dog? And I was like,
I've got a couple already.
yeah, go on then. And then he said, really? And I was like, send us some pictures. And he said, obviously she was a puppy, 4-month-old Cocker Spaniel. So he sent all these cute pictures. I was like, right, brilliant. So I sent them to Vicky. I was like, hello, ma'am. She just messaged back, she said, what have you done? Well, it's Gary's dog. I said, he's just got home circumstances have changed. And I said, whatever. So brought around and that was the end of that one. Again, like I say, that it just seems to happen where a situation will happen and we seem to end up with another dog. So then Belle, our 2-year-old Black Labrador, again with that one, she was one of our friends' dogs, puppies. So she'd had a litter of puppies and they just brought them round to see us.
We've got a little dog here.
Yeah, here's Callie.
Hi, Callie.
And so basically, the man brought these dogs round in the little box, the puppies, 8 puppies in a box, little black labs, just for us to have a look at.
Oh,
So
they knew straight away.
Sunday morning, it was a sales pitch straight off the bat. So they brought this box round, 8 little puppies in. Me and Madison went out and had a look and we're like, oh, look at these. Like, Vicky, come out and look. No, I'm not looking. She was like, I'm not looking. And then I took a few pictures. We went in. So I showed Vicky these pictures and she was like, oh, look at them. They are cute. But no, we're not having another dog. So me and Madison went and walked the 3 dogs we already had. We're walking down by the field. I got a phone call off Vicky and she's like, fuck it, let's get one. I was like, pardon? I thought we weren't getting another dog. And she was like, yeah, let's just do it. So that's how we ended up with Belle. And then the latest one is Roxy, the yellow lab.
Oh, Roxy.
So
It's nice pictures, though.
yeah. And that one's at Welly and Tails. They do it's an enclosed park where you go and pay for the hour and you can take all the dogs.
Oh, cool.
So with Roxy, she was actually one of our daycare dogs. So she come in with us from about 4 months old and she was kind of with us on and off sort of throughout her growing up. And then we got a phone call off her mum and said that their home circumstances had changed and they weren't going to be able to look after. Could we help them find a home? We're like, yeah, we'll have it. And it was like, so that was literally on the day she said, needs to rehome, and the next day she brought her down and then we took her home and that was that. So that was about a year ago. So we've got 4 in the house. And like you say, the funny thing about them all is just that we've never went out looking for them. They always seem to find us. So.
That's nice, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So many people these days, I suppose, well, my perception is they went, oh, I want that breed.
Yeah.
I want to get it from that
Got to
person.
that breed, that colour.
Yeah.
And I think everybody has that in their head when you're kind of thinking about your next dog, but it doesn't always work. It's like you go out for a car, you're like, right, I want a white Focus. It must be a manual, needs alloy wheels. And then you kind of get to the garage and you're like, oh, that's a red Astra. I quite like that. You know, and you just, you kind of go out with an idea and you end up making a
That's a
compromise.
good analogy, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the second fact.
So my second fact is that I'm really into my old cars, sort of 70s, 80s, 90s classic Fords. I know Ford isn't normally quite a glamorous brand, but it's something I've been into for a long time. I think it stemmed from my Uncle Brian. He would be rebuilding cars on my nana's drive. So I'd see it all the time and see him kind of stripping cars back to bare shells, welding bits in, rebuilding them, spraying, getting them sprayed and mechanically kind of getting them all sound. And I think subconsciously that was just getting ingrained in us without us realizing.
Yeah.
You know, the smell of welding and things like that.
Just looks so cool as well when you're younger.
Yeah.
You're like, oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. So
Cool
I think
uncle.
that's kind of where it started. And then,
Have you got one of your own then?
yeah, at the moment I've got a Mark III Fiesta. It's nothing fancy, but it's standard. So there's a lot of welding to do on it. So it's each of my projects. I mean, I've not finished most of them, to be fair, but I've kind of got them, and each one's taught me a new element of like sort of car restoration, I suppose. It's something I've always been interested in. So you always pick it up. You know, I always used to change my own brake pads when I was kind of 17 and things like that. And
Save you money.
and yeah, as well. And then you just build up that, and you find another problem, you learn how to fix that, you change different parts. And then, like say, I had a Sierra, and then I stripped the engine absolutely bare, rebuilt it, painted it all blue and silver, marvelous, got it in the car, couldn't get it to run. So,
At least it looked good.
yeah, but again, I learned a lot about taking all the different bits off that I'd never taken off before, putting them back on. Yeah. And like I say, I ended up not finishing that one because I just couldn't get it to run right. Ended up swapping that for another one. But yeah, I've had Sierras, Escorts, Fiestas, and say currently we're on a Fiesta. So
Are you going to get that one running?
yes, I am. Yeah.
You've committed to that now.
Yeah. I think basically what it is with it, there's a lot of welding. I'm working down one side at the moment. Before we started the business, I was kind of fairly regularly getting on with it and doing a bit here and there. And then once we started the business, spare time became pretty much non-existent, which is, I suppose, a sacrifice you just have to make. But it's in the garage. I have to walk past it every time I go to see the dogs and the utility and everything. So it's always there, and you're like, I'm going to start on that soon. I'm going to start on that soon. And then last year, we probably got to a point before we moved buildings where it was steady enough. We were just starting to get time back to ourselves. And then we moved buildings. And then I was basically in here 2 months solid, just non-stop, just renovating it, getting it all ready. And then now we're just hopefully approaching a point where we can start to get some time back. So by the end of the summer, I will have at least spent a day or two back on the Fiesta and see if we can.
Hopefully. Let's wait and see. And then the third fact was?
Third fact, me and Vicky have a daughter called Madison, who is 13, and our son called Dylan, who is 10. The fact is that Dylan has autism, quite severe autism. So it's something that maybe not a lot of people would know. Some people that are close to us would possibly know, but I think it's just relevant, I suppose, to the conversation because we've kind of, we've managed to start a business. We've got 2 years in. We've achieved what we've achieved whilst looking after kids hard enough, but kids with additional needs just add another bit of spice into the mix. He's 10-year-old. He's non-verbal. He's got very limited signing, so he can get quite frustrated because he knows what he wants in his head, but half the time we haven't got a clue. And you could sometimes, like just more recently, he'll look at you right into your soul with these bright blue eyes, and he'll just make this sort of illegible noise, and he'll just like, "Bubba," and you'll be like, what is it you want? And he's just looking into your soul, and you can look right into his eyes, and you can see the cogs going round, and his brain's going, I know what I want, but I can't get the message through to my hands or my mouth to tell you, and it just breaks your heart.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So he is coming on, and he is developing all the time. He's learning new signs to help him get what he wants to reduce the frustration, but it's a kind of daily battle.
I can imagine that's tough, isn't it? Like just having kids growing up anyway, and that's the added thing to it. When did you realise he had that? Or?
It was quite early on. I think Vicky will probably correct us when she sees the video, but it was probably between 1 and 2, we started to notice sort of things that his development didn't seem to be going at a rate we were probably expecting, because we've always had Madison before. They always say boys are slower than girls. You've always got that in your mind, but you just kind of get a feeling. I mean, he wouldn't play with toys. He would use toys. So like his toy cars, whereas maybe a toddler would be like pushing them along and things like that. He would be using them and lining them up. And you're just like, And there was no kind of imaginative play. He liked having things, and he was always one for having collections. So if you had like a box of toys, he would like to keep them as a collection. He wouldn't pick one out to play with. He would have them as a collection. So it might be a box of dinosaur figures, and that would be his collection. And he would keep them, and he might, and randomly, like there'd be one, maybe the Tyrannosaurus Rex, he would just throw it away. And he just didn't want it. And you'd try and put it back in, and he would know which one he didn't want every time, and he'd throw it. So there's things like that. You knew that something was a bit different. And then we started speaking to the health visitors and things. And when we were talking to them, they're like, oh, we can't do anything yet. We'll need to wait, I can't remember if it was 18 months or 2 years before they can start to do investigations. And then once that ball got rolling, we got him into the Springboard Centre, which is a centre up on Orton Road. They do a lot of good work up there with the kids, and they do assessments. And he went in there, and he was in there for a visit once a week, something like that, or twice a week. And it took them quite a while to decide whether he had autism or it was just like severe learning difficulties, because they've got like three elements that they need to see before they can say, yes, this is autism. And one of the things that he didn't really struggle with was rigidity. So whereas some kids must have this order of events, anything outside of that will cause like crisis. Whereas with Dylan, that was the one element that he wasn't really strong in. He really liked things a certain way, but if you'd done something different, he wasn't that bothered as long as he got some sort of input in what it was. So it took quite a long time, but then it's always one of those where the diagnosis didn't change anything, but it just gave you that, right, okay, now we know, we can put it to bed and move on and try and do what we can to support him. But you just feel like you need to know.
I suppose I was going to say that'd be the main thing for me, just knowing, so it makes sense why he's the way he is, and then you can help him whatever you need to do. Yeah,
exactly. And I think one of the things that always sticks in my mind is that, you know, when you've had a little boy, you're like, oh, I'll be able to go football with him, I'll play football, he'll be passing me the spanners when we're fixing cars. And then to an extent, you had to kind of grieve that, which is difficult. And it sounds awful because he's still my son and we still have absolutely tender moments. You know, I film them all the time to remind me that when the 70% of the time when he's smashing doors off the hinges or screaming his head off, that we do have those good times where he just has like a mood where he's giddy and you can't do anything because he'll be at you and he just wants tickled. And I've got amazing videos of him laughing his head off because he just really needs tickled, and you've got to tickle him until he's finished.
That's cute, yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of like, so it is great, the good times, but you still, for me, I had to kind of grieve and put away I'm not going to be able to go to football games with him or play football with him, or, you know, and obviously everyone's like, oh, there's always hope, you know, he could do this, but you have to live in the real world and you have to be always positive, but realistic.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. And I think this podcast is exactly for this, like we were saying before, of people probably see every day, don't they?
Yeah.
Top Dog Carlisle, but they don't understand what your home life's like or behind closed doors and what you're going through and how much effort and work you have to put in here as well as at home.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing story, to be fair. So let's go back to a little Dave then. What were you like growing up? What did you want to do? Apart from make cars and build cars and not get them to start.
Pretty much that's where I wanted to be. I think I probably thought I was probably going to get more work in than I did. But yeah, so I've lived with my nana and granddad since I was 3-year-old. I grew up in Harrowby and Carlisle. Pretty average upbringing, well looked after. Nana and granddad really treat me well. Taught me some good values and went to Harrowby Secondary School. That was before it was knocked down. The average right through school, got half decent grades, but nothing.
What did you want to be? Did you want to be anything in particular, or?
I kind of always wanted to do something with cars.
Okay.
Like say when you sort of get to year 9 and you have to start really thinking about it, it was, I kind of want to be a mechanic. But it got to the sort of probably year 11, I think, and me and my friend Gary at the time, he wasn't really as into the fixing side of cars, but he did like his cars as well. And then we were like, I can't even remember how the idea came up, to be honest, but like, why don't we join the army as mechanics? So we signed up to the army to go and do the mechanics course, being the REME. We both signed up, went to the assessment, went and passed all of that, went in the army. 6 weeks later, we were both like, this isn't for us. we both left at the first opportunity halfway through basic training.
Why do you think it wasn't for you then?
I think...
What was it like?
I think for me, because I think a lot about things, where in basic training, I think you've got to stop thinking, do as you're told, just get on with stuff and toe the line. And then once you get through the other side, it probably changes a lot. But for me, when we went in, it was, I think, 8 of us to a room. And then you would go outside, say you were on the parade ground, and then the corporal would come out and he's holding up like a ham and cheese sandwich. He's like, whose is this? I'm like, landlord's. So I'm standing there, whose is this? And then whoever it was stood for, it was mine, corporal. Right, bring him forward, passed him the sandwich, said, right, eat that. He's like, I don't want to. He's like, eat it now. Rest of you, down, press ups. So I'm doing press ups. So keep eating, and we're all doing press ups. I didn't eat. It's not in my sandwich. Beast him. And I couldn't get my head around the whole thing. It's like building that team thing where you've got to work together. Your action causes problems for other people.
Yeah.
And whilst I kind of knew it, I'm like, that's not fair. It's like, if I've had a sandwich, beast me all day long. But I'm here, towing the line, doing what I'm supposed to. And this tithead's kind of gone and snuck a sandwich in, and I'm getting punished for it. And like I say, it obviously works. We've got one of the best militaries in the world. But I just couldn't get my head around that I was getting punished for other people. Because I think now I could probably say I'm quite accountable. If I've made a mistake, I'll put hands up, anything like that. And I think I must have had a sort of young version of that at the time. And I'm like, well, I shouldn't be getting kind of punished for that. So like we say, we pretty much hadn't unpacked by the time we kind of left. And then came out of there, and I'd done a mechanics course at college. So done the mechanics course, came out of that, and I didn't get a mechanics job. So like the other lads in the class, they were a little bit younger than me because I was probably 6 months to a year behind them by the time I'd got all this sorted. Then
So why do you think you didn't get it then? Or is it just because you're a bit
I don't
older?
think I was just a little bit older, and they were looking for like kids just pretty much straight out of school. Maybe I wasn't good enough. I don't know. They would never be able to tell, and I never really analysed it too much. Even though, like I say, I think a lot. I tend not to dwell on things.
Yeah, let's move on.
So
where do you think you get the thinking a lot, overthinking, overanalyzing from then?
I'm not sure. I don't think my dad was like that. I suspect that my brain's just wired that way because it's not like something I drift in and out of. I'm kind of always thinking and sometimes overthinking or I'm always analysing and looking to solve problems that sometimes I don't even need to solve. It's just, I think, it's just the way, I feel like it's just the way I'm wired. So I don't walk, like in here now, I'll be walking around and like everything's fine. Environmental health team have come around. They're absolutely delighted with it. We've got the 5-star rating. They're like, right, you're doing a really good job here. But I'm walking around, I'm like, we can improve that. And I'll be like, but everyone else would put up with it.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's just day to day. And I'm like, that can make us 0.5% better. It make our lives 0.5% better. And that's just basically how I walk around.
It's a good mindset to have though at the same time, but at the same time, it can be bad, can't it be?
Yeah. But because I know about it, I can step back from it.
Yeah.
I'm not like kind of
self-aware enough.
Yeah, I'm not blinkered into kind of like, oh, right, I must reinvent the wheel. It's like, I look at something and go, am I just doing that for the sake of it? Or, do I really need to change that? And
I think a lot of people try and reinvent the wheel these days, don't they? Is if you can just improve what's working and what's going well every single day, that's more than good enough, I think.
Yeah, totally. So back to I'd kind of not getting the mechanics jobs.
Yeah.
And then...
But you're a bit gutted then, were you?
Yeah, because like I say, I always want to do something with cars. And to be honest, I think I dodged a bullet because I think if I'd spent every day working with cars, I'd probably lost a bit of the love for it. But because I got the knowledge from college, that's the same for you, and then I've still got that drive to do it because it's a hobby now. Yeah. And then while I was at college, I was working part-time in home base, finished college, like, I'll take some more hours at home base, done a little bit more time there. And then one of my good friends, Ian, he was a scaffolder at the time. He was on price work and he was getting a lot of money. And he was on the phone and hearing about this money. And I'm like, fancy a bit of that. Yeah. Phone my dad, I was like, Dad, I'm going to move to Glasgow. Ian's there. And he's doing this scaffolding job and he's making like 400 quid a week, which is 25 years ago. I'm like, and he's like, Dave, you're not being a scaffolder. I was like,
it's good money, but it's dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah. And hard work. It's all outside, heavy work.
Good in the summer, I'd imagine.
Yeah. Great. And he's like, you're not being a scaffolder. I'm like, what's wrong with that? So he's leave it with us. I'll speak to my boss. My dad was a plumbing and heating engineer. He was working on building sites at the time. Spoke to his boss. His boss said, yeah, we'll give him an apprenticeship. I was like, all right, okay. So I kind of started the apprenticeship with my dad. And then over the next sort of 15, 20 years, I'd kind of went through a couple of different plumbing companies, learned a lot. And then I went into Centre Parks as one of the technicians on site. So the accommodation and all of the maintenance, on all of the accommodation. And then while I was in there, that kind of environment suited me really well because there was like a structure of like managers all the way right up to the top. So it kind of gave us a direction to look at. And I remember I probably hadn't been there that long and we were on some gas training and I was on gas training with my line manager at the time. And I'd said to him, I says, I want your job. And him being quite flippant and a bit long in the tooth, he was like, you can have it, just joking. But then there was a series of events. They had a big clear out. A few managers went, a few staff, there was a bit of scandal. And then that position became available. And me with no previous management experience put in for it. So I went in for an interview, which was quite daunting because I had the general manager, deputy general manager, HR manager, and my to-be line manager. And I was pretty much sat with the four of them around this, and I'm like that. No management experience. I would say probably no even interview experience, I don't think at this point. And I'm sat in front of four of the most powerful men on the Centre Parks village at the time. And I'm like, but I got the job. They put a lot of faith in me. They've seen the potential. And so that was my...
Yeah, how did the interview go then? I want to know.
Yeah, it was...
Can you remember it or not?
A bit like this, a bit nervous, just talking rubbish a lot. But yeah, I think it went pretty well. I remember kind of one of the questions they were asking, and they kept pushing me on it. They were like, all right, so we've got this situation. What would you do? And I gave my answer. It's like, okay, but if this happened, what would you do? And I'm like, well, that won't happen. This is what I know, the state of the accommodation in this particular area. This is what I would do. I would get somebody in and I would target that area. Yeah, okay, but if you couldn't do that, but yeah, I can do that. And it's just like, so I was kind of like, oh, they were pushing me for a different answer. I didn't give them it, but obviously what I did give showed that I wasn't necessarily going to be pushed into something
else,
just for the sake of it when I thought I had a better idea. And it did work because in that time, I mean, my line manager at the time, John Summers, he was probably at the start of where I started to have really good line managers. And I think that really helped me come along. I was supported, I have a lot of ideas. So he was there he kind of nurtured the good ideas and kind of helped me see reality with some of the ideas that didn't work. I learned a lot from him. He was really good. And I think that's, like I say, right through my career, I've been lucky in the sense of having good line managers, good leaders, and I've learned a lot from them. At the same time, I've worked with a lot of people that I didn't want to be like. So it's not like, oh, pick someone that's good and try and be like them. It was like, I see him, I like him, he's a good guy, but I can see things he's doing holding him back, and I'm not going to make those mistakes. So it's about seeing other people's mistakes, learning from them, and seeing the good things that people are doing and trying to learn from them and build a package. So
yeah, that's good when the analysing bit comes in, isn't it, from you?
Yeah. And you'll probably be able to see that as I'm saying it, but I don't even realise. But yeah, so I was there for a while. Then I took the accommodation maintenance standard scores up by about 20 points from about 57 to 77, something like that, which hadn't been done on that village since it had kind of been built. So again, a taste of success in a role that I'd never done before. It was really good, really drove us on.
Motivating.
Probably thought I was better than I was because I'd kind of had some good success. Like say that a lot of that stemmed from the line manager at the time. And then the manager for the main buildings, like the swimming pool, the shops, all of that kind of building, he left his post, and then he'd had a really bad score in a statutory audit. So they come in, they go through every piece of paperwork you've got, making sure every service is done. So they went through all of that, and he got a really bad score. So the line manager asked me to step in and just take over the statutory audit part of it. And we went into that. I went and sat in a dark room on my own with all of the folders, all of the paperwork, went through it page by page, and then we had a re-audit. So they had the internal health and safety team come in, and the health and safety manager at the time, she was really, really formidable. Everybody dreaded her coming on site. So we had to sit in there with probably about 110 folders. We just sort of booked out a meeting room, training room, went in there with 110 folders. And then once we kind of going through it all, went through it, and we got a score of 99.7, the highest you'd ever seen in any of the Centre Parks maintenance departments. So again, a bit success. And I'm like, I'm good at this. You kind of,
I'm the boy.
yeah, you get a little bit of that. But at the same time, like you say, you do need to kind of remember that there's still a lot of things that you haven't done well and kind of try and do that. So went from there, I went into social housing, assistant property manager in social housing. Again, went from there. That one didn't work out. I didn't kind of get on with my line manager at the time. And she had the ear of the director. So it didn't matter what I said or did, I couldn't go above because he believed everything she said. And so it just didn't work out for me. And actually since then, I've had word back that she left her post and they realised that she was covering up a lot and that maybe they should have listened to me at the time. So that was a bit of peace for me because I felt like I'd failed. You know, success, went in somewhere and felt like I'd failed. Really didn't get to grips with it. But afterwards, like you say, it was almost like, oh, you know, it's a shame that he kind of went because we've kind of realised now maybe it wasn't all him.
Yeah.
So
it's nice to hear those.
Yeah, it was just like you say, that was a bit of peace for that one. And then because of that, I went back on the tools.
Okay.
So I was like, at the stress levels at that point, I was like, I can't deal with this. I just need to just relax a bit. Went back on the tools, and then, well, I'd applied for a job as a plumber, and then I got a phone call the next day, and they were like, "Oh, you've applied for that, but looking at your CV, we've actually got a supervisor's job, a contract supervisor." I thought, I'll go on then. It's kind of somewhere in between. It's not sort of full management, might be relaxing, a bit more relaxed, should I say, than the manager role I'd just come from. Went into that, and then I was doing that for a while, and then again that one, it was kind of looking after the contracts, and I was just like, one of the clients that we used, they had their contracts manager, if you like, and he was just really difficult to deal with. So every day you were going in and you knew you had to meet, and it's just, when you go into work feeling like that, you're like, something needs to change. And I just got to a point with it, and I was like, somebody had left, and I says, can I have that job? It was one of the plumbers had left, and I was like, can I just take that job? And they were kind of a bit reluctant at first because I think they wanted to lose us from that position, but they kind of knew, obviously, if that's where my head was at, it made sense. So I went back on the tools and spent a good time doing that, learned a lot of new stuff as well, stuff I hadn't done in plumbing before. And then from there, one of the lads I knew phoned us up. In fact, he actually followed us into my street and kind of blocked my drive off. And he's quite a forward lad, yeah. And so he spoke to us, and he was like, "Oh, I'm working for this company now. Great pay, great bunch of lads. We're doing this, we're doing that." And I'm like, "Oh, I don't think it's for me." And he's like, "Oh yeah." And then I was like, no, honestly, I'm happy where I'm at. So away he went, and then I think it's maybe a couple of weeks later, he kind of done the same again. He must have seen us pulling up in the van. And he's like, "Oh," he says, I've got an application for me or whatever. So I was thinking about it, and I was like, it was much better money. And I was like, all right, it was still on the tools. It was a heating engineer job, servicing boilers, repairing boilers. So I was like, all right. And it was something I hadn't really done a lot of before. So it was quite a big jump. So I was like, all right, go on then. So went for it, got the job, and then spent a few years on the tools doing that. Like I say, learnt loads, great place, great staff. Again, fell in luck with a great line manager at the time. So that was George Surrey. He was good leader, really fair, really knowledgeable, and had a lot of drive to kind of get things done. And he would listen to your ideas as well. And he was a big help. And again, it was kind of that point where I'd settled. I was like feeling good again. I was happy going to work, and I started looking up again. I'm thinking about positions above. Well, there was only his, and he was looking after 2 different contracts. So that would be a massive jump. There was nothing in between. But then there was a restructure within the company, and he kind of took a step up, and then there was a role above me, basically, was kind of created. And I went for that, got that job. Again, another promotion. That was like probably the better job that I'd had, you know, working up the kind of ladder. Got that, was looking after a team of 10 heating engineers covering the whole of Cumbria and North Lancashire. Again, learned lots. And I think my time in management has been great because it's helped me with dealing with people. It's helped me with, we're looking after dogs here. So, you know, we're stroking dogs, we're playing with dogs, picking up poo, and we're mopping up wee. That part of it is the easy part. But with the business side of it, where I've learned about budgets, you know, I've learned about health and safety, all of that, the underpinning stuff that some people have to outsource, you know, HR, we've not had anybody doing anything for us in terms of health and safety or HR or admin or anything. That's all been in-house because that's the kind of thing I've had as a base from the experience I've had so far. So
yeah, it's just like a valuable experience, isn't it? Like you say, especially if you've had so many good line managers, said the ones that you haven't.
Yeah.
It's taking what you don't like from the people. I think that's the main thing. And then the things that you do and them transferable skills that maybe at the time you think, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that. But then now coming into fruition, you think, oh, that's really handy now. Oh yeah, bloody hell. And that kind of stuff, which is cool. So then how did Top Dog come about then?
Well, it's because of like my level of thinking and overthinking probably. I've always wanted to run my own business because I kind of look and I think, I could do that. Do you know, pretty much anything I look at, I'm like, I could do that. You know, like with the welding with the car, I had a lot of tuition off my uncle and my cousin, but I didn't look and go, oh, I'll have to outsource the welding for the cars. I'm like, I can do that. I just need a bit of guidance, and they've helped us a lot. But like you say, it's, I think a couple of business ideas I've come to Vicky with over the years, and she's the cautious one, and I'm the
risky one.
Yeah.
You need that though in a relationship.
Yeah, and it does work, and it's a great balance, and we're a great team. And like, she keeps us grounded.
Important.
Yeah, very much so. But at the same time, I drag her out of a comfort zone. And when
That's
she lets
also
me,
important. Yeah.
up until this kind of point, she hadn't really. You know, I've come up with a few business ideas. I'm like, what about this? It's too risky. How are we going to pay the mortgage if there's nobody comes, no customers come in? I'm like, yeah, but they will. You know, there's no facts or any sort of substance to the fact that they just will.
It's your confidence.
Yeah, it's that kind of shot in the dark, I suppose. And then we were in the middle of COVID, and our niece worked at a doggy daycare that had been in Carlisle before. So that was the first time we'd kind of heard of doggy daycare. You know, we've had a dog all this time. I'm like, doggy daycare, what's that? And I think Vicky had been down and seen kind of roughly what it was all about. And then, so the doggy daycare was in there, and we kind of knew that was probably going to be closing down. And I just said, what about us running a doggy daycare? She's just like, I don't think it was this quick, but she's like, yeah, go on. And then I'm like, shit. Hold on a minute. I was expecting you to say no. Yeah, you've said no to everything else. Why would you say yes to this, you crazy woman? My wife for the don't come. We'll never pay the bills. You know what I mean?
Mortgage.
Like, yeah, shit. I'm like, Google doggy dick. Yeah. And then she kind of let me off the leash, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to do some serious research. So I used to say a lot of time on the internet looking at other daycares, looking at the formats, how they done things, the DEFRA guidance that we're kind of bound by. It's our Bible. I read that inside out, back to front, learned everything that we need to do to achieve what we needed to achieve. So yeah, I was kind of like, right. And I was like, website? A website before? How'd you do that? It's like, you just kind of Google stuff, don't you? So went on, got the website. So like, oh shit, we've got a website now. This is happening.
It's real.
Yeah. So got the website, and then we were looking at properties, and it's a very unique environment where you need a specific type of property for it. Obviously, you're going to need a lot of indoor space to fit all the dogs in, ideally kind of reception space and cleaning space, outdoor space. And then we were looking at, because we thought that building was that had shut down at the time, the other place, and that building was kind of technically empty. And we thought, well, why don't we get in touch with the landlord? So found out who the landlord was, spoke to them. And I think they were having a lot of problems at the time. They were really difficult to contact. And they were having a lot of trouble with the past tenant not paying rent, and the lots of legal stuff involved. So that kind of, we thought, well, we're not going to get that building now, right? We need to look somewhere else. And the problem is going from a building that's used for a garage or a warehouse to go to doggy daycare, then you need to look at planning permission. So that made it more difficult because there was no other building in Carlisle that already had that. So we're looking around, and we found a warehouse. The first building we got, in the end, we had a look. It was just around the corner, and it was literally an empty warehouse. There was a brick block toilet building part in the corner, and that was it, empty warehouse. And it was like, so pretty much from scratch. So like, right, oh yeah, message the landlord. He's like, right, okay. And he said, oh, somebody else is looking at it as well. So we're like, right. So we phoned up, and we were like, right, oh, can we pay the deposit? And he went, oh, you joke. He says, the other people looking at it paid at lunchtime today, so we missed it by a couple of hours. And we're like, oh no, there's literally nowhere else. If you look at commercial properties, it's really difficult. And because Carlisle hasn't got a massive amount of industrial space, you're kind of really limited. So then we're like, all right, crap, what we're going to do? So we're looking around. We found a building. looking back, we'd kind of convinced ourselves that it would work. It was in the middle of town. We were like, yeah, this will work, because we didn't have any other options. Yeah. And then, as it turns out, luckily, that didn't kind of end up being where we went to, because I kept in touch with the landlord with this place, even though they'd put the deposit on. Like, is it come to fruition yet of the signs? And he's like, no, nothing yet. And dragging on weeks and weeks. And we're like, oh God. And then he went, they've not paid. We gave them 2 weeks and they've not paid up. And like, right. So if it's yours, like, yeah, can we pay now? So like, right. So we got it. And then again, you're just in that, you're like, shit.
This
isn't a two-bed house, by the way. This needs to be a business in 8 weeks. So we went through the planning process, put the plans together, got in touch with the planning department. Great. Went in on the website, on the lamppost, all of that. You're like, right, doing all the other stuff in the background. And then the owner of the one that failed, they basically heard that we were opening up and then opened their doors again.
Really?
Yeah. Even though they weren't supposed to be, they kind of like, right, we're opening back up.
Okay. Even though they're going through that, whatever.
Yeah.
That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah. Strange, money driven with no regard for the animals whatsoever. So they opened that back up.
Is that before you opened yours?
Yeah. So I think they kind of saying, all right, we're going to miss out on the market here. They thought they kind of had it all sorted up probably. And then they could just kind of mooch about. Like I say, this was in lockdown. So it was difficult times for people moving in and around the town. And then they managed to get 36 of the family, friends, customers at the time to put in objections against our planning. Yeah.
How can you be bothered?
So that hit us like a truck. So whereas the planning department could have approved our plans within, say, an 8-week period, because they wouldn't have any issues with it. They've already approved a similar building in the same area, should have went through smoothly, because there was more than, I think at the time it was about any more than 6 objections, and they have to review it. So because there was 36,
that's a lot.
Yeah, because we'd seen text messages through friends of friends that, this business is open, it's going to hurt my business, put in an objection. And it was just really spiteful, horrible stuff. And like I say, that hurt us, and it's a lot to take when you kind of moving towards your dreams for someone just to be spiteful. So
threatened.
Yeah, so we had that, and then it had to go to review. The next review date was 9 weeks. So it was like, it's only a week more. But when we got in touch with the planning team, they were like, we're full up for reviews that day because they have to sit before councillors, put it forward to them and get a proper review done. He said the next one's September. So we're like sort of talking 12, 13 or 14. I can't remember. It was a long time from where we wanted to be. So we had that. And then it went before the review. They approved it. And we're like, the relief is unbelievable, because we were still aiming towards an August open date. Yeah. And I think the approval might have only came 1 or 2 weeks before open date. So we were aiming towards that regardless of what had happened. And we just had to wing and a prayer it and just say, right, like, we're going to be ready next week to open, and just hope that the councillors had approved it. So as it happened, they did. We opened on August, I want to say the 2nd. And I remember Vicky was sat there with like 3 dogs. Where are they all at? Where's all the dogs? It's dead cool just sitting there with 3 dogs. Like, brilliant, but like, hold on a minute. Well, we know how much the rent is. 3 dogs. And you're like, we're expecting a few more. And then and it was a really slow burner. So
yeah, what was that first day like then? It's obviously a lot of stress and pressure, wasn't it? And then you got everything done so quickly. And then that first day, what was the expectation versus the reality?
I suppose we were waiting just to be fighting them off at the door. Like, hold on a minute. But it didn't. It kind of grew really organically.
I think that's what everyone thinks, though, isn't it? Like, everyone thinks that, all right, yeah, you launch your own business, you set up an Instagram page, you launch your Instagram page, you get all your friends to share it, and then you got a successful business like that. But the first day is the easy part to open. Then the hard bit is what comes after, isn't it? It's just putting that graft in, day out, and the consistency and building it, like you say, organically over time, because no business that I know is successful after one day and then is successful forever, are they? No. It's the ones that does it
like even years, it can still take time. But the way it's worked out, and with a lot of hard work, it has went well. So they say we opened up.
So the 3 dogs that came in.
Yeah.
I bet you were buzzing though with 3. That's more than none.
Yeah. We were really happy because we'd achieved it. We'd opened the business. We'd started the business. Yeah. But in the back of your mind, you're going, that's not enough to pay the bills. And like I say, it slowly over time, they did start to build luckily at the time, I still had my job as the operations manager within the social housing. So we had the financial backing, which not a lot of people do. So we were fortunate in that sense that we had my job, I kept my job, and then, I would do my day job. Then at night, I would catch up on all the admin, all the stuff we needed to do.
And Vicky would be in here full time.
Yeah. And
that's a good team.
Yeah. And it, like you say, it worked really well. We managed, we scraped by with the amount we needed to pay the bills, and say Vicky didn't need a wage because my wage covered all our bills at home. So even if we were just breaking even, it was fine. So when we started, like I say, few dogs more, and then the other one that had shut down because they knew something was coming. A few customers learned, because there was about 3 different episodes in the news and Star of, oh, this is happening to this place and this is really bad. And then at that point, we got a little wave of people like, oh, I don't want to be part of that. To us, and we're like, oh, well, that's good. I'm like, but where's the rest of them? They must have seen their papers. News and Star, this woman's mistreating animals and, breaching a license. And you're like, what's happened? Why are you still there? Kind of thing. So then another story in the paper and people are like, oh, this is real, isn't it? Then we got another little wave. And like you say, it's slowly building up. And I think, I would say probably, we didn't take any money from the business for quite a long time. Like I say, everything we got, we were spending back in the business and just building it and investing it. And then I think the final one in the paper was where the prosecution and all of that. So all of that came through. And then, like I say, we got the last of the stragglers came. And then that kind of was a nice number we kind of got to. I think we opened August. By the time we got to the end of January, we were kind of looking for, we'd actually already took someone on part-time to cover some hours. And then we got to January, we actually took on 2 staff on 20 plus hours each. So that was kind of because we were getting over 20 dogs. And then by the summer, we were up to pretty much nearly 30 dogs every day.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And then after
less than a year then.
Yeah. And after a year, we would do our re-inspection by the environmental health team, because when you start off as a business with that type, you can't instantly get like a 5-star license. The most you can get is 2 when you first open, because you've got no history. You've got no records to show them that you've got good record keeping. And a lot of it's about your paperwork, the procedures. So we didn't have any of that. So you start off with the 2. They come and revisited us after a year, and they offered us a 5-star award, which is the highest we can get. Like you said, after a year, we put a lot of hard work in. The girls put a lot of hard work in every day, and it all paid off. And we got that 5-star we were over the moon with.
Yeah, that's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. So obviously you were getting these waves from the other place, weren't you? Mm. And then why did they stay then? Why do you think, what are you doing here that makes it so special for the dogs and make it like a family and that kind of thing? What are you doing different?
I think what's different is probably the people. That'll be me and my wife. I think people, I don't think it's about what the dogs do here. I think it's about how the dogs are treated here and how the customers are when they walk through the door. They know, because they can tell when their dog comes in and jumps up at me for a cuddle, they know that dog loves me. Then, or Vicky or the other girls, they would know. If you walk to somewhere and your dog was dragging you out the gate, you'd be like, maybe it's not too happy here. But when the dogs come in, they see the photos of the dogs through there, because we send photos to them on WhatsApp, so they get to see what the dogs are doing, who they're playing with. You're getting the message back, oh, is that his new friend? And then, the dogs love it, the customers love it. And I think what's different about us is just that genuine family feel where, it's me, Vicky, our daughter Madison comes down in school holidays. She loves it. She's a grafter. She'll be working, 11, 12 hours, getting up and coming here, playing with the dogs all day and going home, and she loves it. And I think people get that real feel that we just care. If, I'll be quite happy to show any of them my bank statement, and they'll be able to see I don't make money from this. I get a wage, but every penny we've had, we've put back in. We've reinvested it to make it better. We could have left it the state. We got it in January when we first took this place on, this building, and we could have just left it in that state because it had already been open or set up as a doggy daycare. Not how we wanted it, but we could have just moved in, saved 20 grand on refurbishment, put that in our pocket, and just rake the money in. But we've probably had about 2 or 3 weekends off since January. And even then, not properly off. I mean, off from like building work and doing that kind of thing. We're still at home doing bank accounts and stuff like that. But yeah, I think people can see the effort we put in. And I mean, even the environmental health team, because they visited in January and when we first opened, they were like, right, okay, yeah, that's fine. You've got enough to kind of open. It's all safe for the animals, great. And then at that point, I was like, oh, well, we'll invite you back once we kind of get sorted. We've got our numbers back, we're busy, and then you can kind of see for yourself. So we voluntarily asked them round. You know, we have a great relationship with them. We're open and honest. We'll ask questions. They can ask us questions. And I say we invite them around Wednesday. They were around on the morning before you were going to be coming. And when the environmental health officer comes in and goes, wow, you know, and they're like, oh, it's amazing to see the dogs happy, they're playing together. I don't think for us in this industry, you can get much higher praise other than the customers. But when somebody that sees all of the dog premises in the town comes in and says, wow, that's like, it's amazing. And that's where we kind of felt with Wednesday morning was like, it's brilliant.
Big pat on the back and saying, like, it's a big well done to yourself, isn't it? You're doing a good job.
Yeah. And like I say, it's not just me and Vicky, it is the girls as well. They're dedicated to what they do. They love the dogs and it is a real big team effort. And, you know, it's a family business. And like I say, it's me, my wife, Madison, and that part of it's family business, but we're a small team as well. So that feels like an extended family. You know, we're not kind of like closed doors. We talk to each other about our lives, our families, our problems, and it is sort of an extended family. And again, I think what's different about us, the customers come in and, you know, they see that we're all one team working together to give the best care to the dogs we can, really.
Yeah, I think that's important, isn't it? And then, so how did things kick on after you got the 5-star review then?
I'm not sure that it opened any floodgates. I don't think people went, oh, wow, they're 5-star, that must be good. Obviously, we put it on our website and our socials and things like that. And I say I didn't notice anything happened because of that. But it's just when people do come, it's something that can reassure them.
Yeah, it checks a box kind of thing. Yeah.
It's like your restaurants. You know, it's the same kind of thing where the environmental health team go into a restaurant and they're like, right, 1 to 5 stars.
Yeah, it's
probably wouldn't eat in a restaurant with 1 star. But as you're walking in, you've already booked it because you've heard one of your mates said it was good. You open the door, you see the 5 stars and you're like, oh, well, yeah, that just reassures you. You were already doing it, but it just gives you that confidence that there's a regulatory body that has looked at this and went, yes, that meets all of our standards. And to get the 5-star, you need to be working to higher standards as well. So to operate, I think you can be anywhere between 2 and 5, but to get the higher standards, there's a separate set of like criteria that you have to meet as well. It's optional, but we pushed for it at our last visit and like I say, they were more than happy with it. So
definitely. So then what would you say has been the best way to get Top Dog out there in the local area? How have you pushed it? How have you promoted it?
See where you're pushing social media. Yeah, right into your lap. No, it is honestly, because we keep a record of every customer that we come in, because we show people around on a Monday evening at 5:30. We put them in the diary, they come round and we ask everyone, where did you hear about us? And most of them is Facebook. I know you're kind of more into TikTok, but I don't think from our point of view, we do have the TikTok account. We put videos on there, but I don't think people scrolling through TikTok see as many of our videos and go, oh, I might take my dog there. Because for me, TikTok, you're getting a lot of national and international videos. Yeah. But with Facebook, we're kind of connected with thousands of people in the local area and they'll just subconsciously see our pictures coming on of, you know, the dogs playing, the dogs in the sun.
You do them, what are they, the collages and stuff?
Yeah, we do that, the top poses. So all of the dogs' photos are beautiful, but we kind of try and pick the really difficult task of just, right, we've got a collage with 16 in, we need to just pick 16. Probably like and like you say, some of the dogs, you get the camera out and they go, eh, and you're like, oh, come on, your man wants a picture of you. It's like, as soon as they see that camera come up, they're just, oh, not taking a picture of me, you're not getting a good one, I'll look this way, I'll look that way. But some of them are really good and do love posing. So yeah, I think social media is really powerful, and the difficulty for us is making time for that. Yeah,
because it's funny, I was doing a podcast with Joe Kirkup the other day, and he said the same thing. So say his was a family business, his dad owned it, and then they weren't doing any social media, and then he launched the Facebook page, and that took them to the next level and that kind of thing. So I think people think Facebook's like old and people aren't on it these days, but it's a great way to build like a local community, isn't it? And finding out what works for you. So why did you start doing the collages then, do you reckon? Did you see it somewhere else?
Because I knew that it was a good way of getting a collection of images out there, I suppose. I know there's a lot of work. We can do more, but I think we need to get, I mean, right now we've got our accounts to hand into the accountant at the end of this month, VAT returns at the end of this month. So social media is like, oh, right, we need to get a collage out quick. We generally do that on a weekend. Maybe after we've kind of finished breakfast, we'll sit down and put a collage together of all the pictures, and then forward a load of pictures from the week of all the dogs playing and stuff like that. So that's kind of loosely scheduled in our minds. Like I say, I know we can upscale it because we've got infinite amount of content, because we've got 30 to 40 beautiful dogs running about, playing, doing goofy stuff all the time. So we have got that, but it's making time for it. And I'm not saying find time, because time's always there. It's just about, it's
priorities, isn't it?
Yeah. And at the moment, like I say, getting all of those financial things back is going to be priority. And then after that, be something else, I'm sure. But
yeah. What's next then for Top Dog? What's in the pipeline? What's the plans? You must have something in mind.
Yeah, no doubt. So basically, the kind of room you can kind of see over there, it's just kind of boarded off at the moment. That we're going to open that up as a shop space.
Oh, cool.
So in our old building, the reception was probably a sixth of this size. You pretty much open the door and then
this is decent size. To be fair, isn't it? Yeah.
So the reception before, you literally walked in a door. If you can imagine that white door there, you would walk in there and then that would be your desk, and that was it. So literally one in, one out. And we had like some leads up on the wall and some treats, and that was pretty much it. But now we've got that kind of room there. We're going to open that up and really maximize the space for sales as well.
Yeah.
Because we've got kind of the customers already coming in. It makes it easy for them. They're like, oh, I'll get my dog and I'll have a bag of dog food. Don't have to go to the shop. Don't have to do anything. It's already here.
Just getting it delivered and stuff as well, isn't it? Like dog food and stuff, or he's going to the shop or whatever. So to get it into their routine, isn't it? Like every couple of weeks, they'll get the dog food from the shop. That's a good idea. Yeah.
So for us at the moment, it's kind of used as a store for all the tools, because we're still doing jobs. There's always jobs to do. But once we get to a point where we don't need a load of tools and materials down here, then we'll clear that out and get that shop space. So I think that's the next one. And we haven't got any kind of sort of pipe dreams of anything else other than just doing what we do and doing it well at the moment. When we started the business, it was never to take over the world. It was just...
Not yet.
Yeah, not yet. Yeah, well, one day at a time. But basically, with our home life and with Dylan, this gives us the flexibility to work around that. So it's great because we can take a wage from it that just pays the bills pretty much, and then we've got the flexibility where we can work around our kids. So if we need to be off for the kids, it's like, all right, well, I'll go in today, you stay off. And
that's what you want, isn't it, in life, really?
Yeah, and like I said, from a business point of view, you've always should, I think, be looking to kind of improve and get better and to an extent make more money. But there's no crazy plans to kind of scale it up and go wild. It's just keep doing, because now we've kind of got, on average, I would say we've got on a Monday and Friday, although it does change, we might have 30 dogs in sometimes. On a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, be 40 dogs. So what we want to do is kind of be full every day. That's where we're aiming for. And I don't think there's anything other than just keep doing what we're doing. And it's just going to, again, grow organically where... we could be showing anywhere between 3 and 6 new customers around each week. So on a Monday evening.
That's good,
yeah. But at the same time, some of them, they come for different reasons. Some of them come when they're puppies because they've got a lot of energy and they want to get them to mix with other dogs. And then as they get older, they sort of drop off a bit with the amount of sessions. So there's a bit of an organic cycle as well there.
Yeah, there's always a churn, isn't there, kind of thing, yeah.
So we might be showing 6 round, but maybe 3 of our existing customers might have dropped from 2 days a week to 1 day a week. So we just need to keep driving the new people through the door. And like you say, just pushing on social media. We do leaflet drops. We've currently got our advert on the Sands ticket leaflets as well. So obviously those things come at a cost as well. So the easiest one for us is just to push on social media. And
it's free, isn't it?
Yeah.
So then for anybody that's watching or listening then, so what do you actually do with the dogs and who is it for?
We've got a real mixture of customers. So we've got some customers that are retired that just bring the dog because they want them to have some time mixing with other dogs, because where they live, they maybe don't see a lot of other dogs. We've got some people work different shifts and maybe once or twice a week they've got nobody else. The partner might be in some days, but not these days. They come in once or twice a week. So, and then we've got a couple of dogs that are in 5 days a week where they work full time, both of them, and they don't want the dog left at home all day. So then the dogs come in, and we've got everything from miniature dachshunds up to Great Danes and just about everything in between. We've got dogs that come in that are much quieter than the others. They kind of just mill around. They tend not to instigate any play, but they're happy in the company of the other dogs, and the parents are just happy that they're around the other dogs and that they're getting some company. And then you get some dogs that come in that just want to play all day, want a ball kicked. And we've got one in today, and he'll just want a ball kicked 8 hours. 8 hours, he's happy. And if you don't kick it, he'll bark it.
Easily pleased, yeah.
Yeah. So you get a mixture of everything, yeah. I mean, again, every dog is different as well. So we've got the dogs, like you said, the quieter ones. They might just want to sit on your knee for half an hour and get a stroke. So
attention seekers.
Yeah. And I mean, you see a lot of stuff on social media of daycares with these very kind of fixed, all right, it's 10 o'clock, we're all going to go and get treats out of this thing. But we kind of do it a bit more fluid than that. It's where we just learn what each dog needs to make it tick. And then we kind of nurture that. So if it's the dog that wants a cuddle, all the staff know that that dog's going to want a cuddle. So we'll kind of all just sit down with the dog and cuddle it for 20 minutes. And then there's the dog that wants his ball kicked for 8 hours. Everybody just, if the ball lands near you, just kick it. It's that, and, we do some structured things when we go outside. We'll kind of spread treats. So they've got to start using their noses because it's really important for them. Where we see in like 4K, Ultra HD, but dogs smell in 4K Ultra HD. So whereas everything we look at, it's like real input for us. They tend to use their noses more. Yeah. So using the noses is what really gets their brains working. So like I say, we spread treats in amongst the stones and stuff. So they've really got to sniff them out. And like I say, it's just each dog's different. So it would be absolutely pointless for us to say, right, it's 10 o'clock. We're all going to do this activity because only 4 dogs are interested. Yeah. So it's a real mixture of just finding out what makes each dog tick. Some of the dogs come in and they don't really want too much human interaction. They just like to play with another dog, but that makes them happy. So we're just monitoring the play. We're just making sure that it's all friendly, it doesn't escalate, and we just kind of keep a lid on things with things like that as well. So.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. Yeah, I like that. So then, biggest mistake, biggest regret. Did you think about this one?
And again, me being the philosopher, I don't like to have regrets.
Yeah.
Because I kind of believe in the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
I'm like, if any one of those things I think that I didn't do well in my life, or if I'd done something different, I might not be sat here today. And it might be the smallest of things. So like you say, the job in the social housing where it didn't kind of work out, I'm like, maybe if I tried harder, maybe if I'd found a way to make that work, I'm like, but then I wouldn't have got the job after that. I wouldn't have got the job after that. And then I might not be here because I'm in a totally different place. So even the smallest things, like you say, even just the way you spoke to someone, something you've said to someone, you think, oh, maybe I wish I hadn't said that. But if you hadn't, that relationship might have went a different way. You might be in a different place now. So as far as regrets go, I don't think I've got anything that I regret as such, because I think regret's quite heavy to carry around. I like to think that I've made a mistake and I've learned from it. Yeah. I don't regret it. Because if I hadn't made that mistake, I wouldn't have learned. And I think the more mistakes you make, the more you learn. I'm not saying just go out and make a load of mistakes, but if you make those mistakes while trying to do the right thing, to do the best thing, then when it gets to that point where it went wrong, you go, oh, actually, that didn't work. I'll approach it a different way this time.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most eloquent ways people have described that, because everyone, more and more people are saying like that. So I want to ask you, what makes you happy then? What actually makes you happy? What makes Dave happy?
Family time.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the simplest of days out for us, it's like I think our favourite, all of our favourite is we get in the van, we head out to Sillith with the dogs, we let the dogs run wild on the beach, in the sea, and then we go and get fish and chips, and then we go and get an ice cream, and then we go home. And that literally, that's kind of, I don't think it can get any better than that.
Quality time.
Yeah, it is. And it's important for us because they've spent so much time here, and then when we're at home, we're doing a lot of admin. So when we do get a day like that, that's pretty much, it's made it all worth it. So the time we spend together as a family is definitely the best part of it.
Yeah, valuable. Right, so let's do some plugs then. Where can people find you, follow you, and all that kind of stuff?
So social media-wise, we are on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and all of our accounts are at Top Dog Carlisle. So if you want to pop on there, we've got millions of photos of cute dogs, lots of videos of them doing daft stuff. If you want to go and check our website out, there's some more information on there as well. That's www.dogcarlisle.co.uk.
And cool. And then whereabouts are you located as well?
So we're on the Willowholme Industrial Estate. So if you know Carlisle, that's the big Sainsbury's. There's an industrial estate behind there. If you go down behind Sainsbury's and then follow the road around, you'll see our signs there.
Perfect. Right. Thank you, everybody, for watching on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast, like the video if you have, comment your favourite part, any questions for Dave, leave it in there. Follow the podcast if you listen on Spotify or Apple, and leave a 5-star review, and we'll see you next time. Bye, 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 bye.